Okay, so um this is kind of odd. I will I don't know. We are apparently live. Let's see here. YouTube changed um their their interface and I can't see the live chat. I don't know what's going on. Let's see here. Hopefully this isn't um hopefully I can figure this out. I don't know what's going on. And remember, I don't know. Can anybody see me? I guess. Let me know if you can see me. Hold on. I'm watching it on my phone because I'm concerned. Okay, apparently it seems to be working. Please hit the like button. Um, and we'll see how we can do. I can see the live chat on my phone. So I will see the live chat on my phone. For some reason, I can't see it on my computer. It's very odd. Um, but I see Paulina. Thank you for commenting. Let me know how it is though. And I can, like I said, I can see the live chat. Okay, you can see me. That's good. It has the sound. Um, and let me turn this down a little bit, maybe. But I can see the live chat on my phone. I can't see it on my computer for some reason. I'm gonna have to figure out YouTube. They I don't know if you were watching last week's stream, but remember if you were when I said it's somebody's job to eventually change what is ideal to something that's not ideal because we just can't, sit still once we get something right. In a company, it's somebody's job to change something, and that's that's the reality, and that's where we're at right now. So it does look like sound is working and the chat is working. So, like I said, please hit the like button. It really helps. And I will monitor the chat on my phone. But tonight I wanted to talk a bit, I'm glad it's working at least, a bit about religious symbolism as we are about to approach, you know, many notable holidays for different theological traditions throughout the world. We have Hanukkah coming up for Judaism. We have Christmas coming up for, uh, you know, Christianity, and I'm sure there's a couple others, but those are the big ones. And I kind of wanted to talk mostly about those two. If I'm you see me adjusting. I broke my foot the other day, and it hurts a lot. I broke my foot when I was young. I re-broke it in the same spot, doing nothing but like general uh, working out basically, and have now a it's called a stress fracture in my foot right where I broke it when I was a kid. I broke it going down a fire pole from one story to the next, and so I re-broke it, doing nothing that it should have broke it, but which is concerning. But yeah, it hurts. So, um, but yeah, so we have Hanukkah and Christmas coming up, and these are two holidays that have very specific and very interesting uh, s- symbolic structures that are associated with them. And I kind of want to talk about those in particular, and also to say that we have gonna we're gonna this is gonna be the last stream until probably after the new year, and I'm going to be celebrating holidays, and I'm sure many of you will too. So, happy holidays to everybody. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas to everybody who's celebrating, and we will get back to it at after the new year. Maybe there'll be one before the new year. I'm not sure. It just depends on how it would be like right before the new year. Maybe like let me look. Like the week before the new year. So like right before the first, after Christmas. So sometime between Christmas and the New Year, we probably actually will do a stream. So I don't want to say this is the last one, but this is probably the second to last one. But yeah, like I said, please, hit the like button, comment down below, and let's get into it. So one thing that I find very interesting, actually, is in the Bible, it specifically states not to put up a Christmas tree, which is pretty funny. Most people don't know that. In my house, I will say we have a Christmas tree, and we also have a menorah, and these are both trees of light. And in this time of year, it is considered basically a festival of lights. Like everything about this time of year is celebrated with these symbols that involve an excess of light, not just a normal candle or two. We light candles on the Sabbath in my house every week, but during Christmas and Hanukkah, there's not just candle or two. There is an excess of light. And not only is there an excess of light, there is a tree of light that for both holidays that is celebrated, that is used as a symbol of celebration of both of these holidays that fall right around the same time. This is not a coincidence, and I'm not claiming to know every bit of the deep metaphysics behind these. I don't want to say coincidences because they're not. That implies to many people that that's random, but these coherences, I don't know what's the right word, but you get what I'm saying. Coincidence that's not random. That has meaning behind it, which is actually like what, if you think about like what the word coincidence, it's like two things happening together. That's what it means. It doesn't mean random, but it just we think of it as meaning random. It's like when we say conspiracy theory, people think that means something fake. If you believe in conspiracy theories, you believe in nonsense. That's what people think. It's like a conspiracy theory is just a theory about a conspiracy, which is when people conspire, which is when people get together and plan to have some type of plan enacted. And there's nothing about it being fake in the term conspiracy theory. There's nothing about it being random in the term coincidence. And so let's look it up, though, actually, just because I'm curious. Coincidence. Again, side tangents, you get them for free. A remarkable concurrence. That's the perfect word that I was looking for. Not coherence, but concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. Correspondence in nature or in time of occurrence. So the new one, that is the top one, is a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. We met by coincidence. By similar terms, accidents, chance, serendipity, fate, which, and then you have the secondary definition, which is correspondence in nature or in time of occurrence, which is the original co-occurrence, coexistence, conjunction, concurrence. This is the original meaning if you just look at the word itself. But it's always funny that we have like two words that are two definitions that are always different now with every word. It seems that we Google on here, we get two different definitions, which is not how you can actually have a language that is useful, or that is precise, I guess. So, Christmas tree in the Bible. It says this in the Bible. It says the Bible doesn't mention Christmas trees, but some interpret it's like, okay, Jeremiah 10 through 1 through 5. Okay, as a warning against them, describing cutting down and decorating a tree like an idol. So basically it says, let's look at the actual verse, Jeremiah 10. God warns Israel, the house of Israel, not to adopt idolatrous practices of other nations, particularly making an idol by cutting down a tree and decorating it with silver and gold. Okay. It says here, hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh to you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, or, just the idol worshippers, basically, and not be dismayed at the signs of heaven, but for the heathen are dismayed at them. This is a very old translation. This is the King James. That's why. Let's do this. Niv. Where's the Niv? It's easier. Niv. NIV. Okay. Here we go. Hear what the Lord says to you, people of Israel. This is what the Lord says. Do not learn the ways of the nations or be terrified by signs in the heavens, though the nations are terrified by them. For the practices of the peoples are worthless. They cut a tree out of the forest, and a craftsman shapes it with a chisel. They adorn it with silver and gold, and they fasten it with a hammer and nails so it will not totter, fall over. Like a scarecrow in a cucumber field, their idols cannot speak, they cannot be carried because they cannot walk. Do not fear them, they can do no harm, nor can they do any good. So basically it's saying, don't worry about it too much. It's not a big deal. Because if it make it into a big deal, even if you're like, we can't do this, don't do it. It's like you can turn it into an idol by doing that. But it basically says like, don't do it, but don't make it into a big deal either. And that's basically what it's saying. And it's funny though, because it says like, people say it doesn't mention Christmas trees in the Bible. It just says, don't cut down a tree and have a craftsman shape it with a chisel, who fastens it with a hammer and nails so it doesn't fall over, and have it decorated with silver and gold. But it doesn't mention Christmas trees in the Bible. It's like, come on, guys. Okay, like let's be a little bit real here. But it's funny. But again, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Again, I have a Christmas tree in my house. It's a fake Christmas tree, so technically, I didn't cut it down, and shape it with a hammer, and fasten it with nails. But I have done that before, in my house, or we have done that, and so I'm not like criticizing anybody. I'm not trying to be holier than thou. I'm guilty of it, and I'm Jewish, and I've done this with a Christmas tree. I've had a Christmas tree. So, but what's interesting, and I don't think it's that big of a deal, but, what's interesting though is, I will say, is that it has become a bit of an idol, as like, we don't think about what these things mean deeply. It's like, what does a Christmas tree symbolize? Let's look it up. According to what most people think of. I bet you it's just, the pagans did it, and like, this is going to be a very informal stream. But comment anything you have in the live chat. Okay, so the Christmas tree symbolizes hope, life, and renewal. Rooted in an ancient pagan tradition, oh wow, I was right, of evergreen vitality during the winter, later Christianized to represent eternal life through Christ, decorated with decorations like a star and lights and silver and gold. And so, interestingly, menorah, symbolism. The symbolism of the ancient temple 7-branch candelabra symbolizes divine light, creation, the 7 days or 6 days of creation plus one extra 7, wisdom and God's presence. The 9 branch of Hanukkah commemorates the miracle of the oil that lasted 8 days, representing survival, rededication, and the spreading of light in the world. So basically, the same exact thing as the Christmas tree symbolizes. It's the same thing. It's a tree of light. It's just different in the perspective that it takes on. And what's interesting is that, and I'm not against either one of these symbols, by the way. I'm not even like anti-Christmas tree. I like the Christmas tree personally. Like, that's my personal belief, is that, not my personal belief, my personal opinion is that I like the symbolism of the Christmas tree. But I also think that we have lost the symbolism of it. And now it's just a kind of a secular practice that kind of overshadows like the deeper symbolism of the holiday of Christmas, or the deeper meaning of the holiday of Christmas. And so I recognize why it's probably considered like something you shouldn't do, and how it could become an idol. You know, it's become the symbol of Christmas, is like in a weird way. But again, like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just showing you what it says in the Bible. I'm telling you that I'm guilty of violating it. So, but you gotta look and see what it says, and then you gotta admit when you're doing something that it says not to do, or when you're not doing something that it says to do. It's about honesty. It's not about and growth, and that's what it's about. It's not about like trying to be holier than thou, or trying to justify what you do and write it off and say it doesn't say Christmas trees in the Bible. Yes, it does. It says don't put up a Christmas tree, and I still do it, and it's okay. It also says don't make a big deal out of it, which includes like being like, don't you dare, like you just turned it into an idol. But there is symbolism to it, and other than it just being a decoration, it should not be an idol. But when you look at a Christmas tree, you have the star at the top, or this beacon of light emanating, and then interestingly, the shape of a Christmas tree. First of all, it's an evergreen tree, which is very interesting because it persists. Its life persists through the hard times. And it's this emanating kind of structure that kind of comes out of it and grows out of it, because if you think about it growing from the top instead of the bottom, it comes from the star at the top instead of coming from the ground. It's basically like a tree of life growing. And when you look at even the garlands, that crisscross it, it's very much similar to this blockchain structure that is present in even the double helix of DNA. It's just the structure of information. You can see this structure in numbers. If you want proof of this, in all number sequences, every growth sequence of numbers, this is present. It's just the structure of information. If you look at this right here, where is this spin sequence? So these are spin sequences of numbers. They're just, you've got the Fibonacci sequence here. You've got the Lucas numbers. You've got other growth sequences that I've made. This is another growth sequence, and it's just running a formula based on other formulas, based on other formulas, based on other formulas. And if you look at this, I found this very interesting sequence. I don't know what this sequence is, but I can definitely tell you based on what is being produced that it is extremely interesting. And what you get is, if you look at it, watch this. Watch when I move this. You'll see a twisted pattern, like a double helix pattern in the numbers. You see that? It's very obvious when I move it. I'm checking it on my phone to see right now if you can actually see it. It's easy to see because it's surrounded by zeros here, but really it would just continue on. But there's a character limit that's present in Excel. I think that's what's happening. I'm not exactly sure. Actually, there might just be zeros. I need to look closer. It's been a while since I've really studied this, but it's very interesting. And it's ever approaching 1/3 without getting there. Very, very interesting number sequence. Gets closer and closer and closer and closer to 1/3 without ever getting there. Very. There's something to this sequence. I don't have a name for it. I don't know if there's been things discovered with it, but this sequence is what the double helix sequence is, which is what a blockchain is. It's a self-referential information system. It's just the shape of self-referential information system is the helix, because you have information that's bits are referencing and built on each other, but it's also like all organized around itself, which causes it to have a spinorial structure. You can see that in the numbers here. Very, very interesting. That's present in the Fibonacci sequence as well. You can see it when I move this. You can see the spiral in it. It's like a Christmas tree. If you look at this number, it's growing in information. And it is a growth sequence. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Fibonacci sequence, but it's just building on the previous. It's adding information based on what's already there, building information based on what's already there. And so, very interesting. But it causes a Christmas tree pattern, which you can see. Not only is it a Christmas tree pattern because it's this triangular pattern, but it's also spinorial, just like, the garlands that go around a Christmas tree. And if you think about each ornament, it's as basically a living being that's been created. Cow and human and a fish and a bird. My daughter says fish, so that's why I say fish. I'm saying, you're wondering why Tyler says fish weird. It's because I constantly around a 2-year-old that says fish to fish. But it's just fascinating. And so this is why I like the symbolism of a Christmas tree. I'm not saying to do it. I am saying I'm guilty of it. I am also saying that in the Bible, it says not to do it very clearly. And but it also says don't make it a big deal out of it. So there's a lot being said, and I think it all matters. So, I'm not trying to destroy people's symbols, and I'm not trying to also encourage you to put up a Christmas tree, but we're just talking about why this symbol exists in our society and why it's decorated with silver and gold in the Bible. What does that mean? It's what's shiny. Silver, this is pure silver. This is that coin that I shot, that I showed it in a previous stream. I shot it with a sniper rifle at like 300 yards. And silver is the most reflective metal in the world. There's no metal that is more reflective than silver, which is fascinating. And, look at that. Let's catch that light. Before you had lights, like electric, LED lights that you could put on your Christmas tree, people would decorate Christmas trees with candles and with silver and gold because it's a light. And what's also interesting is pure silver and gold don't tarnish. Very interesting as well. I always thought silver tarnished, but sterling silver tarnishes, which is an alloy. It's not actually pure silver. Pure silver like this never tarnishes. It stays perfect forever. It's just like gold, which is very interesting. I didn't know that until like this year. But silver and gold is also an incredible reflector. My favorite car, the McLaren F1, has the engine bay is lined with gold, not just to make it expensive, but because it's a great heat reflector. and which is heat is light. It's just the same thing. And so it's a source of reflection, which makes it a source of light. It's very, very interesting, to when you look at the Bible and scripture and you see things in the past and you realize that there's so much more to what is being stated. We're going to go way deeper than this. This is, again, like I said, give me a little bit of grace. I broke my foot this week and it's, before the holidays. So this is going to be more informal introduction, but I want to go much deeper into the symbolism of many things in scripture. When in the Quran, it talks about in the future, people will ride on the backs, they'll climb into the bellies of donkeys that are powered by fire, that have their ears outstretched wide, that will soar faster than the clouds. And it's like, what is it talking about? It's talking about airplanes in the future. And people will say, there's no airplanes in the Quran. Yes, there are. You know why it says it's a donkey? Because back when the Quran was written, that was the means of transportation. So it's like saying, before there were planes, people said, one day we'll have flying cars. And it's like, yeah, but the thing is, we won't call them flying cars. We'll call them aeroplanes instead of automobiles. It's like, we will never have something that we call a flying car. We will eventually have personal flying devices that are much more personal than just planes. They'll be like flying drones that you'll ride in, and they'll be controlled automatically, almost always. They'll have an autopilot, and we'll call them something else. We won't call them flying cars. That's for sure. I don't know what we'll call them. We won't call them drones necessarily. Maybe we will, but probably not, because we'll have people in them, and they'll be optionally pilotable. So there'll be a name for these things that I don't know what it will be yet. But if you think about like how you would describe airplanes in the past, before there's cars, you can't say flying cars. People rode donkeys. So you would say, there'll be flying donkeys in the future one day. And people will be like, no way. You're like, yes way. And they'll be powered by fire. And you'll ride in their bellies. It's like, okay, maybe we'll just call it a 747. But so when there says there's a tree that we chop down and we decorate it with silver and gold. It's like we're decorating with lights. That's what we're doing. And I know that we decorate them with silver and gold because my daughter brought me an ornament that she plucked off the tree today. And look at the color of it. She left it on my desk. I didn't even set that up. That was actually like just there because she brought it. My daughter's proving my point, guys. We're in the Bible. That's what scripture is. It's not about the past. It's about the ever present. Oh, that's so funny. My daughter's proving my point over here. But again, like I said, that doesn't make it not an interesting symbol. It definitely is. It's a symbol of growth. It's a symbol of the growth of the tree of life. And what's really interesting is that this sustainment of that tree of life in Christianity via the Messiah and which is assumed in Christianity to be Jesus, and in Hanukkah, which around the same time of year we always have the Hanukkah occurs goes by the Jewish calendar, which is a lunar calendar. It's not a solar calendar, so the date changes every year a little bit, but it's always around Christmas, and it's celebrated with another tree of light. But that tree is interesting in that it's a periodic tree. It has a very specific number of branches, and there's a taller branch in the center that is used to light all the others. So if you look at a menorah, which is a tree of light, there's one that's even in the shape of a tree. buy it online. But here you go. So a menorah. Let's just click on this basically. It's this tree of light, and it's got one in the center called the shamash, which is the taller one. And sometimes it's on the side, but traditionally it's in the center. And then from left, you light them every night. You light a new candle for 8 nights, starting from left to right, or from right to left. Yeah, from right to left. And you always light the first one, and then you use that one to light each subsequent branch, and which I think is very, very interesting and deep. And it's basically like the light of God is lighting all the other branches in the tree of light. And what's really fascinating about this is that if you keep up with Sentient Singularity Theory, you watch this, and you are familiar with this periodicity of sentience that I have, what I call the holonic periodicity, which is, or periodicity of agency, you could say, too. I'm still working on the names for some of these things. Then it's this, and the count is 8. There's 8 of them. Hadron. This is the first, like, light in the tree of life within the cosmos. It's not, there's God, then there's the cosmos itself, and then there's within it there's this, and there's each of these levels in this periodicity of agency. And I realized that one day, and I was like, that's really interesting that it's 8. And I went to my rabbi, and I was like, oh man, I'm about to sneeze. Maybe I'm not. Oh man, as soon as you're like, I'm about to sneeze, then you won't sneeze. But I was like, that's really interesting. And not only that, but there's this, like, kind of singularity and assembly pattern to this. Atom is an assembly of hadrons, a molecule is an assembly of atoms, a cell is an assembly of molecules, etc. And I one day was just like, it lines up with the menorah. And that is not a meaningless coincidence. That is probably because that's what it's a symbol of to some degree. And it's interesting when you think about and I went to my rabbi and I told him this. I was like, I think that the menorah isn't just about the 8 nights of I mean, for some of you don't even know what the menorah is, the main narrative of menorah is, so I probably should have gone over that. But the main narrative about Hanukkah and the menorah is that there was a candelabra that they needed to light, or in the temple, and they only had enough oil for one night, but then oil lasted for 8 nights. And after basically the temple was ransacked and destroyed. And so there was like no hope, but then there was hope, and there was a sustainment of light, of life, by God, and it was considered a miracle. And but the original candelabra in the original temple had 7 branches, so 6 on each side, 6 days of creation, and then God is the creator that lights the rest, and or 6 days, and then the Sabbath, you could say, is the 7th, but which is the day of, that's God's day, basically. And so you have then they added 2 more candles after for Hanukkah, specifically for the candelabra for Hanukkah, which they call a menorah. And but it's very interesting that this these numbers exist because they line up very much with this periodicity of agency. And when you look at the original translation of the Hebrew in the Bible, and it says, God created the world in 7 yom. That's yom is the Hebrew word. It doesn't say day, it says yom. Yom means period. It could mean day. It's used sometimes to mean day, but it also is sometimes used to mean other periods. And so really it just says God created the world in 6 yom, well, and then rested on the 7th. And so, but if we'll get, I don't know how deep I want to go on this tonight, actually. So I'm really, that's why I'm jumping around, is I'm going back and forth about like, how deep are we going to go? Probably not that deep. I feel a bit off my game, but, and I was really thrown off by the beginning. But of the just YouTube changing things up on me. But silver and gold are eternal. Yes. Sort of like the sun and the moon. Yes, exactly our weapon. Yes, it's like the sun and the moon. Love my silver. Yep, silver is great. Silver is killing it, and like silver just hit the all-time high as far as how much an ounce of silver is worth. I think it was over $60 an ounce, which is nuts. I wish I owned more silver. I don't own very much silver, but I own a little bit. But it says 5 ounces. So if it's $60 an ounce, what is that? You can do the math on that. I don't know what that is. I need to. I have Excel in front of me. What's the current? Let's see the current spot price of silver. Silver spot price. $63. $60. $61. Excuse me. About. All right. Times 5. It's $304 worth of silver. It's pretty good. That's also all the silver I own. So at least that's like in silver, just form of pure silver. And I only have it because I was able to hit the target. So, but yeah, this silver and gold are eternal. that is true. Like the sun and the moon. It's interesting that the sun is the color of gold, and that the moon is the color of silver. Isn't that fascinating? And they're both sources of light. And it's described that way in the Bible. It's like I think the moon is described as like the lesser light, something like that. Yeah, fascinating. But the menorah seems to follow this. It's interesting, even if you go this cosmological verse model and you just kind of cut it in half. This is like a Christmas tree. Here's God's creation from the top. And it just leads to this growth. And then if you kind of combine a menorah and a Christmas tree, this is what you get. Which is so funny. And definitely like the odds of that are probably 100%. It's fascinating. Because it's the same. You get all the information here that you need. That's the whole thing. It's just, are you looking at it from the perspective of a singularity or multiplicity? And then it just restarts again. Growth. That growth of information is present everywhere. Like I said, you can see it in growth sequences in numbers. In the Fibonacci sequence, it's present. It's a spinorial, self-referential sequence. And I bet you would even find in those sequences like some crazy patterns. And I it's been a while since I've actually like looked into this, but I have this theory, okay, that that prime numbers are somehow associated with when a sentient singularity is able to manifest. Doesn't mean it would manifest in every single instance of the manifestation of prime number. I don't know if you were watching last week, but we talked about Lee Cronin's assembly theory and how different structures have an assembly index, he calls it, which is the number of steps that it takes to put something together, basically, the amount of information in a structure. And I have this theory that prime numbers are where assembly indexes that would be prime, essentially, are instances something like this. It's very rough, but structures that have assembly indexes that are prime are structures that would potentially allow for sentient singularity to manifest within them. And not always, but sometimes. And the reason for that is that if you think about what someone is, it's some one. Okay? Some, meaning like there's a summation, and also there's multiplicity, and it's also specific. It has all these different like ways of looking at it, but they all are relevant. And then it's one. So it's a sum, meaning like a multiplicity that's, specific and also like summed to one. And what is a prime number? It is a sum that is one. It's a sum that can only be divided by one and itself. Isn't that fascinating? Like, that blows my mind. That is a theory that I don't know how I could ever test. I'm not there yet. There are really, really early instances in which you can see it in creation. God is one. One is prime. It's people will argue about whether or not it's prime. It's the prime. It's the prime. And every prime number, the fact that a prime is a prime because it's divisible by one in itself is evidence, is confirmation itself that one is a prime number. It's the prime number, actually. If you look it up, is one a prime number? Some people will argue that. Again, look at this crap. No, it's not a prime number. Really? Is it divisible by one in itself? Yes. Why is 2 not considered a prime number? 1 is not considered a prime number because it only has one positive divisor, which is 1 itself. The modern definition of a prime requires it to have exactly 2 distinct positive divisors, 1 and the number itself. This is ridiculous. Okay, so 1, yes. And the number itself. What is the number itself? Oh, it's 1. Okay, so yes, 1 and the number itself. It just so happens that those 2 things are the same in that number. It's ridiculous. This exclusion is crucial for the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, which states that every integer greater than 1 can be uniquely factored into the product of primes. Okay, so that's why that's the real reason why it's not considered a prime number. Okay, so if 1 were prime, factorizations would no longer be unique. For example, 6 equals 2 times 3, and 6 equals 1 times 2 times 3. Prime number is a natural number. It doesn't give the best, that's not the best explanation. There's a way that they needed to word that would have made more sense to me. But yeah, I mean, it's because there's a definition. It's because of a practical definition. It's not just because of the actual definition that is it divisible by 1 in itself. It's like, if that's the definition, then yeah, 1 is prime. Um, Hi, longtime viewer, first comment. What's up, Noah? Um, you know it. Give it one, one. I thought prime basically means one or first. Prime also does mean that. That's the primary perspectives in sentient singularity theory. The four primary perspectives are the four primary perspectives. They are the initial and also like fundamental perspectives, fundamentally present perspectives, and constantly present perspectives of inside, outside, separate, and oneness. Those are called the primary perspectives because they are initial. Um, Prime does mean one as well. If we just say prime definition, prime of first importance or main, or main. Those are two different things, but also like related. Um, the primary perspectives. They are the initial and also fundamental perspectives. That's why I call them the primary perspectives. It's not just because it's an alliteration that sounds cool. But the odds of that are probably 100%. Two, of the best possible quality. Excellent. The prime cuts of meat. And then there's the mathematical definition of a prime. Yes, non-dual, like primary. Yeah, exactly, like primary. Um, exactly like primary. But yeah, it's fascinating to see this stuff. Like language has so much mean. Of course it does. Like that's the purpose of it. But like so much meaning built into the words that you can dissect and see and if you just take them as somebody said that that's what it means, it's like no, you know what? Uh, Let me see this actually. Interesting. There's just I feel like there's just like music has you can if somebody listens to a song, no matter what language they speak, they'll be able to probably tell if it's a happy song or a non-happy song. I've heard people say that that's not true, but I don't know how true that is actually. Like that's right. I think universe. I think even a dog knows whether or not a song is a happy song or not. And if I think a bird, a lizard knows when it hears a song whether or not it's a happy song or not. I really believe that. I don't think that it's there apparently there people say this. I don't know if this is just a wives' tale or not, but people talk about how if you play music for plants, like the right music for plants, like it can influence like how they grow, and which really it would be to me. I think it's the cells that are being influenced, not it's not the plant. It's manifests as we're looking at the plant, but it's the cells that are being influenced. Oh my gosh, I'm being decorated with silver and gold because I'm fidgeting with this ornament that my daughter brought me. Glitter everywhere now. Um, uh, but uh, but yeah, I think that even cells react. I think if you played chaotic music to cells, it would cause chaos, or cause them to act more chaotically. Yeah, I just think that's true. I have this. It's really interesting because there are people who love like metal music, and that's something that's I've often thought about. Is like what is the mental state that causes you to like metal music? Like, what does it do? Not just, I mean, there are some metal songs that I even like, but they're not like the most like. There's like metal songs that it's barely recognizable to me as music, and to most people, but there's something about the mental state that that person is in when they're listening to it that I wonder what they're feeling when they what they need from that. If you listen to metal music, let me know in the comments like why you like that. And I'm not just saying metal like normal metal. I mean like the metal that doesn't sound like music even. Like that, you'll know what I'm talking about. Um uh why what does that do to your mind? I'm just curious because it's not something that I, you know, like it's like the when they, there's like in movies when the CIA is trying to like break you down, they put you in a room with no windows and constant, fluorescent lights on, and they play that metal music that just like does not let your mind rest. It's like why do people want to hear that? I wonder. If you like that kind of music, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious. Um, Welcome to the chat, Noah. Yes. Um, what's up, Michael? But yeah, I have no idea. I'm not judging either. I just don't know. Um, there's something about the state that you're in that is why you want to listen to that. But it is funny to me. It's like, do you not cut a tree out of the woods and have a craftsman shape it with a chisel or adorn it with silver and gold and fasten it with nails? And okay, let's have an entire society of like Christian society, basically like make that our symbol for Christmas, for the holiday. It's just interesting. Human beings, we eat the fruit we're told not to. That's what we do. And it doesn't matter if you even if it's Christmas, that's what we do. But yeah, interesting. But also, if there's anything in the chat that anybody wants to talk about, like I said, this is kind of a low key stream, but and it's meant to be kind of a quick one because I don't know if for anybody that wasn't on earlier, I broke my foot earlier this week and I re-broke my foot in the same spot that I broke it earlier, and it is causing me more and more pain. I wasn't sure if it was broken, and then it has continued to get worse and worse to the point where now I have to wear Crocs everywhere. They're not really Crocs, they're Merrells, but everybody thinks they're Crocs. And it's basically acting like a boot that I used when I first broke my foot. I had to wear a boot for like weeks, and where it like spreads the pressure out all across your foot basically. And the Crocs that aren't Crocs, Merrells. So funny. These are them. Everybody gives me crap for these shoes, but I love these shoes. I wear them everywhere, which is helpful that they are also working. But almost everybody that sees me wear these, they're like, "Are those Crocs?" And then I walk into my house, and a couple people, including one of my brothers, was like, "Are those Yeezys?" And it's like, people either think they're Crocs or they're Yeezys. They're neither. But that's quite two very, very, very different types of footwear. But they're Merrells, and they're great shoes actually. Like, I like them. But they're, you're gonna get some looks and some laughs if you do have the guts to wear those shoes. You gotta be strong, if you're gonna wear those shoes. It's funny because like people wear Crocs, I feel like they don't get as much crap as I get because like it's very obvious if people are wearing Crocs that they're wearing Crocs. Somebody will just be like, "You're wearing Crocs?" But if you're wearing those, then people have to like look at it and then they have to say something because they're a little different from Crocs, but they look like Crocs, but they also look like Yeezys. So people always have comments. Got them on Amazon. But yeah. I don't know. My foot is distracting me is my point. And it's getting worse. That's how I know it's broken is if it was a sprain, it would be getting better. Or if it was, I thought I might have pinched a nerve or something, it'd be getting better. And it's not. It's getting worse. It's getting more and more painful every day by the hour. Crocs, what the F? See, exactly. People are going off in the comments. Uh, I have bread feet. What's bread feet? Like flat feet, but 11, 11 feet. I was wondering about the levels of organism you have in your model, like family and caste. Are those sentient singularities? Um, I think that when I say family, I mean like a marriage unit. And what's interesting is that a marriage unit has goals that are specific and unique to them, and there is shared feeling, where meaning like I cannot have, if you're a bee in a beehive and you're a worker bee, you can have a really bad day. In fact, you can be squished, and the hive can have a great day. Or the many other members of the hive can have a great day. Not the hive has a great day. There's no the hive has a great day, but many other members of the hive can have a great day. In a marriage, that's not possible. My wife has a bad day, I have a bad day. If I have a bad day, my wife has a bad day. There's no way for in a marriage for one of you to have a good day and one of you to have a bad day. It's legitimately impossible. And that shared feeling indicates that there is a higher level above that you can't see it ever. That's the thing. It's like the cells don't get to be aware of me, you know? And that's what's tough about this is we are parts of wholes that are above us and we don't get to see them. And so, yes, I think that there's marriage which is a family. That's what I mean. And that's lineage. It's like it's a structure that maneuvers through lineages. It's not a structure that maneuvers through relationships. That's an individual does that. But an atom maneuvers in a lineage, but like a hadron, like a proton and a neutron, they maneuver through relationships. Proton and neutron are like males and females in a marriage structure that is combined together into an atom. Protons and neutrons combined together into an atom. But they don't get to see the atom, really. Like, they're not aware of that structure. But that structure has its own set of influences. Just like marriage has its own set of influences, an atom has its own set of influences that are separate from the influences of a proton and neutron that are within the atom. But they're tied, but they're not the same. They are different. And so this is a bit of I don't want to say guess, but it is an assumption, these levels. They are assumed because you can never know the sentience of another being. And it's especially hard when you're thinking about the sentiences of levels below you, like cells, but it's even harder if you're thinking about levels above you, like marriages. And, in the Bible, in scripture, and not just the Bible, but the Quran, I mean, all scripture, marriage is not considered a structure that is invented by humans. It is described as a structure that is that is created by God. Just like you're a structure that's created by God. The human being is not a human invention. It's not an invention of cells either. It is it's an intrinsic structure that is a creation of God. And that is how marriage is described in the Bible too. It's different than government. It doesn't go like it's funny because in the Bible it says it's a command on humans to create courts, systems of court and law and structures of government basically. It's not described as an invention by God. It's different. It's it's a command on humans to create. Whereas marriage is described as a creation of God. It's not described as a creation of man. secular narrative is that marriage is a creation by human beings. I don't think that's true. Otherwise, every culture would have slightly different, interpretations of marriage, but they don't. Marriage is universally um, uh, understood to mean something very specific in every single culture that it has developed, that it has manifested within. I don't even want to say developed, but manifested within, and which we talked about last week is like human marriages follow the same patterns that you see in stable isotopes, like among protons and neutrons. There's one isotope, I think, helium-3, which is like almost unheard of on Earth. Which is where there's more protons than neutrons. That's it, and it's stable. Which the fact that it's not here on Earth, and that's partially because like we have I don't know, just like it needs the solar radiation in order to be created. It doesn't imply to me that it is as stable as it seems. It's just unstable in a different way than other unstable isotopes. So I think that there's something there. And when you think about these patterns of these holonic periodicity, you have this alternation of lineages that maneuver in time, which means like in lineages, and individuals that maneuver through space, like, which really means in relationship with each other. Individuals that maneuver through relationships with each other, protons and neutrons, are in relationship with each other. Organisms, males and females, are in relationships with each other. But then you have atoms, which is the combination of protons and neutrons, and families, aka marriages, that these are things that maneuver through lineage structures. That's why there's different elements of atomic elements, is they maneuver or they change according to each lineage. To get from silver to gold is a change that happens through the lineage structure in the context of adaptation. But the forces that are being enacted on it are the conditions inside of an exploding star. And depending on how much pressure they are subjected to, depends on how the atom from one lineage to the next, which when I say lineage, I mean like, hydrogen to helium to that is a lineage. That's the next generation. Helium is the next generation on top of hydrogen. That's what that is. And so the next generation of atom from hydrogen is helium. And so, silver, I don't know how periodic table, how much higher is gold than silver. So if we go AU, that's gold, right? AU, it's in the metals, transitional metals, I think. And I think it is, yeah, silver, AG. Where's AU? Right here. Interesting. It's like directly below. Interesting that the one with the element number, the atomic number of 72 is hafnium. I don't even know what hafnium is. I've never even heard of it. But 72 is a number of kind of like completeness that is in physics. Like there's 720 degrees of rotation that an electron goes through, which really means the universe. And if you look at even the cosmological verse here, that is this is a spinning constructive structure. And if you sum every single one of these little squares, it's 720. 720. Which is 72. 720 is 72. It's a number that pops up all the time in weird numerical sequences and stuff. Hafnium. Let's look this up. So then, but the next point is the next generation after silver is cadmium. It would be cadmium. So, but hafnium. Let's look up hafnium because I'm just fascinated by that neum. I've never looked that up before. Hafnium is a lustrous silvery gray transition metal, chemically similar to zirconium, used in nuclear reactors, aerospace alloys like jet engines, electronics, microchips, due to its high melting point, corrosion resistance, and neutron absorbent properties. Often found with zirconium and named after Hafnia, Copenhagen, where it was discovered. Okay. I thought it might have had to do with half. Like we're like halfway through this or something. Hafnium. Let's see what it looks like. That's hafnium. Weird. You didn't even know that element existed. It's pretty cool. Tyler should have more followers, 2 ahead of the curve. I am. I know that. I know that sounds like, just, I don't know, boasting or whatever, but like there is a cost to being ahead of the curve. They're like 2 ahead of the curve. And I've thought about it a lot over time. And it's fine. It's okay, But that I say that humbly, like, which means honestly. Humble means honesty about oneself and with oneself. That's what it means. It doesn't mean like, self-reducing for the sake of the audience or something. That's fake humility. And it's actually not humble because you're putting your goals above like what is true if you are doing that because you have some kind of ulterior motive of like you want to be perceived a certain way. That's not humility. Humility is honesty with oneself about oneself. I'm not perfect. I'm a human, so there are plenty of things I'm behind the 8 ball on throughout my life, but there are personal things usually, like, and at least like they were, I'm sure that there's more. There will always be more. Nobody can have it all but God, and and even I don't even know if he thinks he has it all. Otherwise, why would he create the rest of us? But there is a cost to being 2 ahead of the curve, and it is the world is not, the majority is not ready to hear what you have to say. It's funny because of this meme. Been saying it, like, ain't I been saying it? I've been saying it. Like, the meme that is like the meme that I always show on here is like a meme that has become a thing among me and my friends who most of them work in the political world. And it's like, I called things usually I'm about 2 years ahead of the curve when it comes to political and social trends that I call out. And I say them and then people are like, Tyler, he I think he's lost it. And then 2 years later, they're like, you were saying it. It's like, yep, that's usually the case. Not always, but usually it is the case lately. Past like 10 years or so, it's been the case. And it's all right. We're the cool ones who found it early. Yeah, it's true. And I've said this before, is like, if sentient singularity theory ever gets taught mainstream, which I do think it will, and it has been in the past. That's what monotheism is. That's all it is. It's just now what's the scientific context of monotheism? Sentient singularity theory. That's what it is. So this isn't something new. I didn't come up with this. It's just I've deduced the much more scientific context of it. And that is, or in the context of our current scientific language, that's what it is. It's not something new. I didn't discover something that other people hadn't in the past. I'm not the first to realize this stuff. That's why Christmas tree exists. And menorah. Other people realized this stuff before I did. They just, use different symbols to show it. That's how you can know that, or hopefully it's conveyed that I'm not just boasting when I say I'm ahead of the curve. Like, I also know that, this stuff isn't new. I'm not somebody that's like, there's nothing new under the sun ever. And there's so much that you can bring to the table that's, I hate when people are like, there's nothing new. And, it's like, even just discovering a new way to say something that has been known before by people before you is important. And also, it can be new to you, and that's profound. It doesn't have to be, just because somebody's thought of it in the past does not mean that it's not important. It is important still. And you can discover things on your own that have also been discovered by others on their own. That's fine. It's actually the ideal. But if sentient singularity theory is ever taught mainstream, is what I'm saying is it will be misinterpreted and idol worshipped. And it made me question whether or not I would even talk about this stuff publicly, because I don't want that to happen. But at the same time, I realized that's not something I can control. That's just part of human nature in the state that we're in right now. Everything. Even the concept of evolution and adaptation, and that's become an idol to us that's been misinterpreted. Doesn't mean that there isn't adaptation. There definitely is. But, the fact that it's thought of as this mutually exclusive thing, that's why it's become an idol. And same thing with religion. Religion is an idol to many people. God is the only one who can't become an idol, because he is the creator of everyone. But the term God can become an idol. Like the way some people think about God can become an idol, but God himself, actually, if he properly conceived of, it cannot become an idol. That's why it says in the Ten Commandments, thou shalt have no other gods before me. It means don't prioritize anything above me. And it's fascinating. Speaking of being ahead of the curve, but also rediscovering things that other people have discovered in the past and that are written about in traditions all over the world. When I was working in the political world, I was very frustrated at just people's desire, and I'm still frustrated by it. Everybody's frustrated by it. That's why we're so political we politicize everything now, is because our interconnectedness is making this even more exacerbated. But we're all frustrated by everyone's desire to control each other, to control others. And we don't want to be controlled by other people. And but people are constantly trying to control other people. And I was like, why are they doing this? What would need to happen for us to not want to just control each other all the time? And I was like, well, you wouldn't want people trying to steal things. You wouldn't want people cheating on each other's spouses. You wouldn't want people lying about each other. And I started realizing like that I was like deducing the 10 Commandments. And I was like, wow, I get it. Like, I was like a profound moment for me. Uh, they what those are, there's so much deep wisdom in those, and if everybody followed those perfectly, we would not have the world that and the contentious world that we have now. We would not feel the need to try and control each other all the time. That it still allows for quite a bit of freedom, but it also recognizes that like you're not going to trample on me and destroy me. Your freedom will not lead to my destruction. And that's why I don't need to control you. Let's look at this. 10 Commandments. 10 Commandments are amazing, actually. So here. 10 Commandments. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, meaning like don't prioritize anything or anyone above God. Don't prioritize wealth above God. Don't prioritize your lover above God. Don't prioritize your children above God. Don't prioritize, anything or anyone above God. I'm not saying that I understand always what that means, but you should seek to understand what that means in every instance. That's what I'll say. You shall have no idols. That's the same thing, basically. It's just repeated. It just means like, this really means don't prioritize anyone else above me. This really means like don't prioritize anything else above me. You shall not take the name of your Lord in vain. This means a couple things. It doesn't just mean saying "Oh my God" or "God damn it." There is a cost to that. Part of the cost to saying that things like that, and I'm guilty of it all the time. I say it all the time. I said it today. I caught myself saying it. I was like, goddamn dog or something like that. I don't know. My dog was barking, probably. And but the cost to it is it diminishes the name, the title God. Like we don't think about it as seriously when we hear it, when we're just hearing people say it flippantly. But there's another way of taking the Lord's name in vain, and that's kind of older and more consequential, even though that is consequential. Still, there's a cost to that, to just being like, God damn it. Even though it's such a small thing, there's a cost to it. And I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it. But just recognize that you're guilty of it and try to do it less. That's it. It's no reason to like beat yourself up, but it also got to be honest. And also understanding. You got to understand the cost of it. Like it devalues it. And the other part of that of taking the Lord's name in vain, or taking God's name in vain, is when you attribute your desires to God. It's like, I like that, so therefore God must like that. It's like, well, I like heroin, so God must like me to do heroin. That's like also another way to use the Lord's name in vain. It's not good. You're a separate person from God. You're a piece of God, but you're also a separate person from God. And, it's just important to remember. And then, honor the Sabbath day and keep it holy. I do this there's no way to do this perfectly until the Messianic era, which is what that will manifest as. I have a lot of ideas about it. I know that not all of them are going to be correct. And I also know that I won't know which ones will be correct and which ones won't be correct until that day comes. And I don't know if I will be alive to see that day, but maybe not. But what I do, I'll tell you what I do, and I don't think it's perfect. I don't know what is perfect. But I know a lot of people, they'll literally not interact with technology at all. Like they will not, anything that's on is on, anything that's off is off, and they won't change it. That's like Orthodox Jews will do that. A lot of Orthodox Jews. I would like to get to that level. I am at the point where I stay in. I light candles, I say prayers, and I get off all social media. I'd like to get to the point where I get off the internet completely, but I will watch like a show with my wife, and I don't think that that's the right thing to do, but I do it. And like I said, I don't know what's perfect, but we just try and be better. Not perfection is not the goal. Perfection can't be achieved until God makes the world perfect again. And I don't even know if that's the right way to say it, but from our perspective, it reaches a level eventually of perfection, but that doesn't mean in God's eyes it's perfect yet. I don't know, but it reaches a point where like things are happening beyond us. We're not there yet. And, but I get off of all social media and I stay in with my family and my wife, and we light candles and we say prayers and we have family time. That's what we do. But I would like to get to the point where I completely disconnect from the internet. And I'm not at that point. I still turn on Netflix and watch a movie with my wife. But speaking of like the Messianic era and the Antichrist and everything, watch Pluribus. I think there's like 3 episodes left. I'm all caught up, but I'm going to do a stream about the show as soon as it's over. Very good, very relevant to many things that we talk about and that we're going to talk about. It's about the meaning that gets erased when there's only one being, basically, like a bunch of, if we all became just one, what would we lose? And if we lost our individuality, would we lose our meaning? It's basically about that. It's very, very, very good and deep. I will say, first episode is very creepy and kind of scary. It's like, it comes off as like horror, but the second episode and the rest, more like closer to comedy, honestly. Like, not creepy anymore, not that creepy anymore. Actually, quite funny. It's a very good show. I don't want to have any spoilers for anybody, but we will do a stream about it. That stream will absolutely include spoilers. But I got to finish the show first, and the next episode comes out tomorrow. Honor your mother and father. And I asked myself a lot about this. Like, what does that mean, honor your mother and father? So when I worked with Dennis Prager, he would say, like, I call my parents once a week, And I think that's a way to honor your mother and father, but that's not like specific enough. It's like, I call them. Well, what do you call them and then get in a fight? Like, what if you don't get in a fight? What if what does it mean? And I think that the most succinct way that I kind of have come up with to put what this means is to listen to them when you're young and to care for them when they're old. That's what it means. And what's interesting is that on each one, these 5 have to do with between you and your relationship with God. It's about you and your relationship with the transcendent. Because this one seems like it's not about, these are all about your relationship with other people, but then this one seems like it's about your relationship with other people too. Honor your mother and father. But why is it on the side that's about your relationship with God? It's because your parents and you and your children, this is the continuity of life. It's your connection to the eternal is through your connection to the infinite, which is their connection to the generative. And I think that the most succinct way to honor your mother and father, and I'm sure you can get deeper with it, but just to do it succinctly, is to listen to them when you're young and to care for them when they're old. Because if you just, don't care for them anymore, then the state takes it up and takes care of them and has to take care of them, which means now the state has to control people again. Like, remember, that's like, I told you, I started deducing like the 10 Commandments a little bit, is like, when I was thinking about how do we not feel the need to like grow the government to the point where it's just controlling people? It's like, you're going to have to take care of your parents when they get old. You're also going to have to listen to them when you're young, because if you don't listen to your parents when you're young, then other people are going to force you to listen to the government, like, because you're not listening to your parents. And it leads to us trying to control each other because we're not choosing to put limits on ourselves. And then we have these shall not murder. People will say, sometimes it's translated shall not kill. That is not the translation at all. The Hebrew originally is very specifically do not murder. There's a big difference between killing and murder. Sometimes you have to kill in order to stop a murder. Sometimes you have to kill in order to eat. Every time you eat, you have to kill. It's just a matter of, are you killing the cells in a plant, or, plant cells, or are you killing an animal and the cells in the animal? And probably the molecules in it, and, so on and so forth. But it's not about killing. It's about murder. Shall not commit adultery. It's like, you can't, I went to this party once, and I was with my wife. She wasn't my wife yet, but we were going to get engaged, and she was at the point where she was my girlfriend at the time, and I think that's like, our dating labels and things are very confusing to people at this point. But she was mine. My point is how I saw it, at least, and how she saw it is that I belong to her and she belongs to me. And when you sign out ketubah in a Jewish marriage, a lot of times it says, "I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine," in the beginning of the vows. That person's my person, not your person, my person. But we went to this party before we got engaged, but it was shortly before we got engaged. There was a guy there who it was my friend's birthday party, but his old childhood friend, who I didn't know he was from out of town, Jersey guy. My wife's originally from Jersey, so I'm not judging people from Jersey, but this guy was from Jersey, and not the type of guy that is unfamiliar with fighting. Neither am I, but I try and avoid it. He does not try and avoid it. And so we walk in, and I went up and I was like, I was being introduced to my friend's friends by my friend, and he's like, "This is my friend from back home," and the guy takes my wife's hand. Before we were married, we were not even engaged yet, but again, she was mine, is how I saw it. And he kissed her hand. He introduced himself by kissing her hand. I was not happy about it, and I grabbed her hand. I pulled it back. I was like, "Nope." And I walked away. And I could see him eyeing her all night from across the room, all night. Another friend of mine comes up and he goes, "Dude, I'm just letting you know that friend of our friend is very drunk, and all he's doing over there is talking about how he's going to try and kiss Paulina," is my wife's name, by the end of the night. And I looked at my wife, who was not my wife at the time, but is now my wife. I looked at Paulina and I said, "We have to leave. We have to leave the party." And she was like, "Why?" And she didn't know that my friend had told me this. And I told her, I was like, "Well, so-and-so just told me that that guy is planning to kiss you by the end of the night. And I'm telling you right now, if he does it, I'm going to have to fight him. And the cops are going to get called, and I'm going to get arrested. There is no way he kisses you and I don't hit him. It's just not going to happen. I will absolutely hit him. And I might lose that fight. He was a big guy. I'm good at fighting, but he was also a big guy. Probably would have won, but it would not have been a fun fight. Like, I don't think I would have come away unscathed at all." And I was sober. I don't drink, and he was drunk. And I had fought people as his size before, but he was probably a better fighter than those people. But still, it was not, even if I knew I would win, it's not a good idea to get into a fight, because I don't want to get arrested. Like I just did not want that to happen. And if I lost, you never know. You could lose your life. He picks up a brick or something or a bottle and smashes it on your head. Have permanent consequences. And the more that you're familiar with fighting, the more you are aware of the consequences, and they can be quite severe. So want to avoid it if you can, but you want to be prepared for it when it happens. But I told her, I was like, if he kisses you, I have to fight him, and then I'm getting arrested. And so I was like, we're just gonna leave, and we left, and nothing happened other than I find out the next day he got into a fight with somebody at the party. I don't know what it was about, but he got into a fight with them. So I knew, like, he was looking for a fight. He did not care that I was going to fight him. He was prepared for it. He wanted it to happen. And but that's the thing. That is the problem with adultery. Is like, you come, and traditionally in theology, in theological traditions, adultery is mainly when a woman who's married cheats on her husband with another man. It's not when a man cheats on his wife with another woman. That's still cheating, and it's awful and it's immoral. But there's a big difference in the level of violence that must be kind of like that it can lead to if a man's wife ends up with another man, versus like a woman's husband ends up with another woman who's not married. We're assuming that woman that he's cheated on his wife with is not married. This is different. It's not okay. It is cheating, but it's technically not what the translation of adultery means in the Bible. Specific adultery means a woman who's married. It has to do with a woman who's married, not a man who's married. But that example right there is like, we weren't even married. But if that man had kissed my girlfriend, who later became my wife, so like when I say like she was mine, she was mine. Like now she is mine. I made her mine. She wasn't a girl that I broke up with and we dated and it's like, but I knew I wasn't going to marry her. No, like that was the girl I knew I wanted to be mine. And that means not his. And I knew I would have to fight him, and I knew I would get arrested. And I was like, you know what? We're just going to avoid all this and we're going to leave. That's what we did. And it was definitely the best decision ever. Just, that's not even nearly as bad as like you're married and like somebody sleeps with somebody else. Not even, let alone like, some drunk guy kisses your girlfriend at a party. But still, I would have had to fight him. It's just nature. What was I going to do? Laugh it off? No, absolutely not. But you shall not steal. Okay, yeah, you should not take the things that belong to other people. This means like you shall really it's funny because this means there's even more patterns here, but this means you shall not put anybody above God, anyone above God. This means you shall not put anything above God. Value anyone above God, value anything above God. This means you shall not steal anyone else's person, and this means you shall not steal anyone else's things. And it's interesting. And if you're a married woman and you cheat, then you are stealing yourself from your husband. It's just reality. You got to get divorced first. So then it says, obviously do not steal. Like if you don't steal, then we don't need the government to like make all these laws and go after people. Obviously, people stealing is going to make us want to make laws and control each other. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Exactly. You shall not lie about people and say that, people did things that they didn't, basically. And this is a big one. This is especially going on in our society right now. If you're following politics and political discussions, it's not even politics, it's just political gossip. But it's happening very much so in our, especially on the right now. People are saying things about people that they have no idea are true or not, and they're very serious accusations. And that's not okay. It's going to make people want to sue each other, and that's enforced by the government. You shall not covet. Covet doesn't mean I want the same thing as someone else. It means I want their thing. Covet is like trying to get something that belongs to someone else. It's trying to steal something or trying to take something that belongs to somebody else. It's not that person has a big house, I want a big house. It's I want that person's house. That's not like I want a house like them. It's I want his house. I don't want a wife like his wife. I want his wife. That's coveting. And it's conspiring to commit adultery. It's conspiring to steal. That's what it is coveting. It's very specific. And because if you plan to do that, if people see you planning to steal something or take something that doesn't belong to you or someone that doesn't belong to you, they're going to want to make laws against you. They're going to want to control you before you even do actually like achieve it. But you're actually, you want to achieve it. And it's, evident. Then people are going to want to stop you before you achieve it. It's like pre-crime. It's like, we know that they're planning to steal the gems from that guy, so we're going to arrest him before he does it. Okay. Well, now we have Minority Report. It's like, that's not good. These, I like deduced these on my own. And it's interesting because, you say Moses got these from God, it's like he got them from the truth. They're not, he wrote them, but like they weren't created by him. He just deduced, he wrote them. He transcribed it, but it was already true. And they are absolutely true. They're already true. It's fascinating. It's so amazing. It blows my mind, and I just like get lost in my thoughts thinking about it. It's the answer to it's like, why can't we have a libertarian society? Because people don't follow this. That's why. All the commandments on the right side seem to be about rightful ownership. It's very good observation. Murder is the stealing of somebody's life. And you own your life. God owns it really, but like other than God, you own it. That's a very good way to think about it. I've not thought about, that's great. Our weapon. Even murder is just stealing somebody else's life. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even read your next comment, but your next comment is exactly what I just said. That's so true. Yeah, you got it. Nice job. Anyways, how long have we been going? It's 11. I'm probably gonna call it. But I think that this turned out to be a great stream. I really appreciate everybody who joins the chat. Like it keeps me coming back, and even when I'm in pain and my foot is broken and I'm like, oh man, I just kind of want to like lay in bed and like put ice on my foot. It's like I get into I see people start commenting in the chat, and you guys write your comments, and some of them are brilliant tonight, and it just makes me it invigorates my enthusiasm. I don't know if that's the best way to say that, but it just makes me excited to be here. And so I appreciate it. Like I said, please hit the like button. Follow, hit the bell notification. We will do one more stream, I think. Let's see when the next. Okay, let's see here. We will do a stream not next week. I will be gone next week and the week after from streaming because it's the holidays. But the week after that, sometime, maybe even New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, we will do a stream. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to do stream. Our next stream will be New Year's Day. Thursday, January 1st, New Year's Day. That's going to be the next stream. Yep. That's a good one. Anyways, all right, everybody. Thank you again. And I will see you all on New Year's Day. I will try and have clips scheduled to go out next week and the week after. And so there'll be clips of the streams. But if you ever have a part of the stream that you think would make a great clip, please comment the timestamp or even just the topic that I was talking about down below, and I will turn it into a clip. And I will, like I said, I'll have some clips come out over the next 2 weeks, but there will not be a stream until January 1st, but then I will be back and I will see you then. Thank you, everybody, and peace.